Boom. All right, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to talk to you guys about why I'm short most equities or stocks and long Bitcoin. So I want to preface this video by saying that I'm not short all stocks. My most recent video was my top 3 stock picks of November. So I do still believe that there are stocks in this market that can and will do well over the short to medium term. But when I say stocks, I'm talking more about equity indices, okay? So the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, where they culminate a bunch of different stocks from different sectors together into one index, and I do think that those will be red. Okay, all major indices did close out the week. They had their worst week since March, so it's not looking good from a technical perspective, not looking good from a fundamental perspective either. And I want to explain to you guys why I continue to be more bearish on equities and even more bullish than I already am on Bitcoin. Okay, so let's get straight into it. As always, we'll go over each topic that we're going to be discussing, and then we'll dive into each one individually. In front of us, Bitcoin on TradingView, okay? Of course, we got to cover technicals. Bitcoin looking super technically strong right now. Again, it's crazy to see this in such a market, in a market of such turmoil, especially in equities. In terms of equities, we're seeing Bitcoin prevail, and that's what I love to see. And again, we will talk about this more in the future. I do want to read you guys part of the newsletter. So let's move on from this, but do know we will definitely cover some technicals because BTC, from a technical perspective, is looking very, very strong right now, okay? On the other hand, we will also cover the S&P 500. Again, you guys, this is the equity index, equity indice that I choose to use to sum up the entire equity markets. Again, the Dow is a little more legacy. The NASDAQ triple Qs do tend to be a little more tech weighted, but the S&P is right in the middle, and I feel that's the best to summarize the equity market. So we will look at that. And again, it's not looking pretty right now. It is technically in a downtrend, so I'll explain that a little more. But from a technical perspective, the exact opposite of Bitcoin, equities looking not good, okay? So moving on from there, I do want to go into this article that was just released on Bitcoin. Okay, so the time of recording this is Friday, just after markets close. So keep that in mind as well. But this article was just released. Bitcoin just 4 days away from historically bullish 10K price record. So we'll talk about this. This is super exciting. On top of all the other fundamental aspects that are just driving Bitcoin forward right now, institutional adoption, PayPal adopting them as pretty much a currency and validating them as a currency. I mean, there's just so many stars aligning fundamentally and technically right now, you guys. I'm just so freaking bullish on Bitcoin. Okay, so always pumped to make these videos, and sorry if I get a little excited here. Moving on from here, this is just a quick segue. So this is a very, very simple analysis, just really to show you guys the monthly close on Bitcoin. We do cover that in the end of this article, and this is just a nice segue there. So I want to show you this, and I do want to kick off the video like I do a lot of my Friday videos by reading you the intro to this morning's newsletter, just to give you guys my kind of overall take on the macro environment. Okay, I do consider myself to be more of a macro investor than anything, and a swing trader at that. So I do take everything into consideration. Okay, there's a lot going on in this world, and I just want to read you guys my again this nice intro to the newsletter that I sent out to my portfolio newsletter group this morning, because it sums up the way I feel about what's going on overall. All right, so we'll kick it off with this. Before we do though, I will ask you guys to please give the video a like if you do go on to gain value from it, or if you're invested in Bitcoin, we'll say that if you're long Bitcoin, short the stock market like I am, please give the video a like. It does go a long way. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, want to catch more content like this. I truly appreciate that as well. And of course, check out my complete portfolio daily newsletter. First link down in the description if you're interested. This is a complete breakdown of my entire portfolio, broken down by percentage. I update that every single trading day during market hours. So while the market's open, I update that. And I do also send out my newsletter. So with every update, I send out a newsletter that looks just like this. This is what it'll look like in your inbox, where I rationalize the trades I made that day, and not even trades. It's everything. So it's my thoughts on the macroeconomic environment. It's any positions that are exciting me right now. Anything that I feel is valuable to me and would be valuable to share with you guys. Okay, so again, first link in the description if you're interested in that. I do greatly appreciate it if you check that out. If not, no worries though. Let's get into this. Boom! Today's a scary one, guys. I've been saying the markets are feeling festive. The equity indices are about to close out their worst week since March. I said this in my recent video, but I'll say it again. So again, I did say this in the top 3 stocks of November video, but I thought it was important. I wanted to reiterate it even in this video. I expect the markets to be choppy over the next week or two, so stand strong. The election is coming up. COVID cases are on the rise, and big tech just disappointed on earnings. There's a lot of uncertainty in the air, and investors don't like uncertainty. When people get scared, their risk tolerance drops significantly. So again, fear is never good for the markets, you guys. Fear almost always equates to weakness in the markets, and equities, because they are subject to financials, and we were shown some very weak financials in recent earnings calls, specifically in the big tech sector. It's not looking good, and there are a lot. The bears are really waking up. Okay, come in. They're supposed to be going into hibernation, but the bears are coming out to play right now. But I do believe that investors will still want to put their money to work in the markets once the dust settles. My theory is that large amounts of capital will begin to flow out of sectors like big tech and into smaller, more promising sectors. I think you guys know which sectors are at the top of my mind. We'll get into that later. So again, we go on to talk about some Bitcoin stocks. You guys know the deal. If you're part of the newsletter, of course, shout out to you guys. Really appreciate you. But if you watch the videos, we always talk about those Bitcoin stocks. So we're not going to cover those again today, or we're not going to cover those today, but trust me, we will cover those in the future. So stay tuned. During times of high volatility, it's important to stay rational when others aren't so capable. Understand that all moves are temporary, especially at times like these. It's easy to think that the sky is falling one day and then that money is falling from the sky the next. Keep your eyes on the prize and keep your eyes on the charts as well. This is fear. This is emotion. This will occur many more times in our future. When you understand it, you can use it to your advantage. Embrace volatility. Embrace volatility, you guys. Again, there's so much panic in the water. There's so much news. There's so much FUD out there. There's so much just negative news. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. We're constantly getting barraged with a lot of fear. And again, you stand strong. I want to encourage you to do that. Keep a rational mind. And I know it is very hard when you see your portfolio bleeding out. Trust me, I've been there. I've been there many times in my life. But just understand it's a natural part of the process. And when you can look at the situation from almost a bird's eye view level, and understand that this too will pass. This is a blip in the road, okay? It's a bump in the road for sure. It stinks. But if you're able to view this rationally and again, capitalize on days like today, which I did, again, shout out the portfolio. I hope you guys capitalize as well. When you can capitalize and just realize that there's so much emotion and this is only temporary, then that's a good thing. And that's when you win in the long run, okay? So again, I want to say that I want to articulate that I did not capitalize specifically on equities or on the general equity markets, but I did capitalize on Bitcoin today. Okay, so let's get into talking some Bitcoin. But again, you guys just keep in mind there are stocks out there. There are stocks in the market, a lot of primarily Bitcoin related stocks that I do think will do well, and some certain other sectors. You can go watch the video I posted before this. But again, super bullish on Bitcoin related stocks right now and Bitcoin. So let's take a look. You know what? We'll finish off with the technicals. Okay, we'll finish off with technicals, taking a look at Bitcoin's chart and the S&P's charts. But let's kick it off with this. Okay, so Bitcoin just 4 days away from historically bullish 10K price record. If Bitcoin can stay above $10,000 by the day of the U.S. elections, history suggests that $100,000 is next. Okay. So Bitcoin has spent nearly 100 days above $10,000, and if history repeats itself, further price gains could be astronomical. As noted by various social media users this week, as of October 31st, Bitcoin was just 5 days away from trading above $10,000 for 100 days. BTC price closes in on 100 days at $10,000. That's crazy, you guys. So we pretty much established 10K is like a fair value, like fair price for Bitcoin. And keep in mind, guys, when the rest of the market is melting and Bitcoin is doing well and holding steady above 10K, not just 10K, at 13K right now, that is just so bullish, okay? According to data from analytics firm Coinmetrics compiled by Twitter user Julio Moreno, after trading above certain price points, specifically for 100 days, Bitcoin subsequently gained by an order of magnitude. For example, after staying above $10 for 100 days, it took just 122 days for Bitcoin to reach $100. After cracking 100 days above $100, meanwhile, $1,000 appeared in just 2 days. So that was a quick one. Looking at the difference between 1,000 and 10,000, though, the time period was longer. 150 days to crack 5 figures after trading at 4 figures for 100 days. So you guys just see once you're trading above the 10x level, okay? So again, $10 to $100, it took X amount of time. $100 to $1,000 took X amount of time. 1,000 to 10,000, you guys know the deal here. Now that we're at 10,000, obviously a 10x from here is 100,000, and we're above 10,000 100 days. Again, you guys are just seeing patterns here. The market works in patterns. History doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. Again, it's never going to be exactly the same. That would be ridiculous, okay? But it makes sense that history would repeat itself, okay? And we're seeing another bull run. We'll see that in the charts when we take a look at Bitcoin from when we really zoom out on the Bitcoin charts. You can see that history is just repeating itself. The market works in cycles, you guys. I've been around for a long time, seen it many times, especially in bubbles, especially in such wildly exciting assets like Bitcoin. it's just obvious. You're going to see a lot of downtimes. Volatility, again, embrace volatility. Volatility is not a bug, it's a feature, okay? It brings attention to the asset. And in the case where it's going up, that's very, very good for Bitcoin as well. Okay, so let's move down to this and we'll take a look at that monthly chart, monthly chart. Difficulty adjustments set to reduce huge fees. We're not going to really talk about that, but with November 3rd as a deadline, attention is focusing on how the coming days will shape Bitcoin price action. It's not just the 100-day rule, but before then, Bitcoin will finish October likely with one of its highest monthly closes on record. To beat the top, BTC must hit $13,890 by the end of Saturday. Okay, so let's take a look at these monthly closes, okay? And I would have showed you guys out this on my chart, but I just didn't. When you go to the monthlies with all these drawings on it, it starts to look a little wild, okay? So I want to show you this. Shout out Bitfink, one of my favorite analysts on TradingView. Go show him some love. But very, very simple right here, you guys. Just monthly candles over the past 5 years in Bitcoin, all right? And you can see here, Bitcoin, even back in 2017, okay? Back in the bull run of 2017, of Christmas 2017, we saw Bitcoin, when we saw Bitcoin reach 20K, the closes, the monthly closes on both of these candles were only just about at $14,000, or $13,890 to be exact, because if it closes above that, it will be the highest monthly close of all time. Okay, even though we did reach 20K before, either of those months, what is it, December and January, December of 2017, January of 2018, although we were floating around 20K for those 2 months, both monthly closes were below 14K. Okay, so if we can close tonight, because I will be uploading this video on the day that this happens, on this Saturday. So it's super exciting, guys. Keep an eye on how Bitcoin closes tonight. If we can close, just say at 14K, again, above 13.9 pretty much, there will be the highest monthly close in history. If not, though, if we close right around this area, around 3.8, 3.9, even 3.5, it's still going to be one of the largest closes in history. And just the momentum behind it, like just looking at this chart, you don't have to be a technical analyst by any means. Just looking at this chart, which direction is this going? What direction is this trending in? It's up, okay? There's a lot of volatility. It's a lot of scary moves up and down, especially when you're talking about like a $3,000 low and $20,000 right here, okay? It doesn't look super crazy, but that's how exciting Bitcoin is as an asset. It's how young it is. It's how much potential it has ahead of it, okay? So that is that. Again, you guys, we'll see what happens here. I will follow up with this on Sunday on the Waves Weekly. I'll post tomorrow, but just super exciting time, guys, and I'm super excited to share this new bull run with you, and yeah, just have community. It's so fun to have community during times when things are getting heated. Okay, so that is that. Let's take a look at Bitcoin on the charts. You know what? We'll take a look at the S&P, finish off with Bitcoin. So again, you guys can see here the SPY, the Dow, the NASDAQ, all ending down just about 1% today. Even worse at one point in the day, I think in like around a few hours before market close, so a couple hours before market close, I think we were down like 2.5–3% on some of these guys. So they definitely bounced back a little bit as the markets were closing out. I think there's a lot, again, there's just a lot of fear right now, you guys, and a lot of times Fridays do sell off. A lot of traders want to exit their positions before the weekend, so that makes sense there. But from a technical perspective, from a long-term technical perspective, because that's what really matters right now, the SPY did break this line of support on this rally that it's seen since those March lows. It tried at a double top. It didn't break its previous high, which immediately signifies that we are in a downtrend. So this high right here that in mid-October was not as high as obviously this one in early September. We're at a downtrend, almost a double top pattern. That's never good. And we did break below this line of resistance in the SPY that has been setting that this point in mid-May and this point in mid-September those are the 2 points of contact on this trend line, on this line of support. It did break below that, came back up to test it on a little bounce, so we know that is now a trend line, and it's very unlikely. It's very unlikely that we break above that in my mind, just because, again, big tech announced earnings. So many more earnings are coming up, and without stimulus. And okay, so I want to make it very clear that I do think stimulus is coming. I've said this many times, so sorry if I'm repeating myself. I do believe a stimulus is coming, and it's almost inevitable that a stimulus is coming. And I think a lot of investors are aware of that, but it's just taking a long time, and it's a matter of when. Okay, it's a matter of when. It's not if, it's when. And who knows? Who knows whatever happens with the elections? Who falls into whether it's the NU or the remaining champion in the presidency. You guys know what I'm talking about there. But we'll see what happens there. It's just uncertainty, okay? But from a technical perspective, it doesn't look good. Again, it did break this line of support, and it would make sense. Again, I said this in a recent video, but it spent so much time around here back in 2019 as it was such a ceiling. This area acted as such a ceiling of it for the SPY specifically, which is right around $300. And keep in mind, you guys, all equity indices, whether you're looking at the Dow or the NASDAQ or the Russell, will all be pretty similar for the most part, okay? They will all act in tandem. Some a little more than others, a little more extreme, a little more volatile, like the NASDAQ will be a little more volatile. For the most part, though, they will act in unison. And I think we could see a pretty significant correction from here. Definitely not March lows, just because, again, we have stimulus. The financial world is different than it was back in March. Although we could see some volatility, I don't think I really can't imagine us getting to these levels unless things go real crazy. Like there's been a lot of talk of insolvency, and I think a lot of companies will go insolvent, which is where they literally can't financially support themselves anymore. That is possible. In that case, in worst case scenario, if we don't get stimulus to out by the time that happens, then we might play out this megaphone pattern. Okay, so I've printed this for a long time, and this is a scary pattern right here, you guys. This megaphone pattern that's been printing since January of 2018. So if this megaphone pattern plays out, that would take us from where we're at now at $325 down to about $200. So we're looking at like a 30% correction here. So that would be insane. I don't think that's going to happen, again, because I am optimistic. I will say I'm optimistic. I think that's a fair word to use, that we will get a stimulus out. I think it will get done before Christmas, because I mean, if we don't have a good Christmas, then I mean, if you want to see civil unrest, if you think we're seeing civil unrest now, take away Christmas. That'll be civil unrest, okay, for Americans. But okay, we'll close it out there, you guys. Again, it's not just the technicals; it's primarily the fundamentals. Big Tech just announced earnings. This run has been unprecedented. Okay, this is a crazy run. It's crazy that we reached new all-time highs in this economy, and it was only a matter of time before the economy actually started to catch up with the stock market. I've said that. I've been saying that over this whole freaking rally. Everyone thinks it, but it's going to catch up at some point. And the technicals don't look good. The fundamentals don't look good either. But the opposite can be said for Bitcoin, which I'm super bullish on. Again, you guys, I post a lot of content, so I'm not going to dig into all the fundamental reasons why I'm super bullish on Bitcoin right now. Just go watch some of my previous videos. But I mean, you guys, Bitcoin from both a fundamental and technical level are looking great. Bitcoin, we're on the daily candles right now. I mean, it's just looking so strong. Look how clean of an uptrend that is in a market where the S&P, the Dow, the NASDAQ, all equity indices had their worst week since March. Bitcoin had a great week. Look at that. Bitcoin had an amazing week. Bitcoin is up on the week. Bitcoin's up like 5-10% this week, while equity indices are like down 10%. So the fact that it's broken it's proved itself to break correlation. In a time like being a risk asset too. It's crazy to see Bitcoin being like seen as a safe haven asset, and that's how it should be seen. It should be seen as gold. You can see gold and silver doing well today as well, and that's what I've been saying. And so many people in the Bitcoin space understand this. It's obvious. Go watch my video called "Bitcoin is Gold 2.0." It's an absolutely scarce digital asset, and for a long time, because people didn't understand it, it's been seen as a high risk asset. And it's just so promising that in a time of such uncertainty, a lot of people are scared right now. A lot of investors are scared. Bitcoin's going up and Bitcoin is holding strong, and Bitcoin is appreciating value in such a time of fear. So people are finally seeing Bitcoin as a safe haven that it is. And again, I think the fact that so much capital this is like even another star that's aligning for Bitcoin right now. I didn't think there could be any more stars. Thought the sky was full, but we're seeing it right now. So much capital will start to flow out of equities because these companies are relying on financials. That's what we're learning from earnings, outlook. They're relying on consumption. People need to be consuming. People need to be spending money on products, on whatever it is that these companies are providing for their financials to be good, for these companies to like hold solvency again. But Bitcoin is a currency of its own. Bitcoin, again, is digital gold. Bitcoin isn't subject to anyone. It's not subject to any board, any CEO, any consumers even. Like Bitcoin, the Bitcoin network is made up of its investors and the people who hold Bitcoin and the people who believe in Bitcoin, which is honestly like the hive mind mentality in Bitcoin is like one of the strongest assets of Bitcoin. And what I personally really like about Bitcoin is like the community around it is so freaking strong. Strongest hands I've ever seen in any market I've ever played in. And again, the more people learn about Bitcoin, the more people will understand the fundamental values that it has and the place it'll provide in this new financial system, in a financial system 2.0, because things are getting super shaky. Okay, so Bitcoin, again, from a technical perspective right here, you guys, sorry, I keep going on fundamental tangents. I do think that we will see I'm sure you guys can tell by these arrows. I think we can see another run up in Bitcoin. You just see like the strength it's holding right now. And again, as capital flows, investors still want to make money. Investors still love the market, love the game of investing, don't we all? And as money flows out of equities, people lose hope in equities. It's going to flow into assets that look really appealing, like Bitcoin, because it's going up when everything else is going down. You want your money to keep making you money. That's investing. That's the game we all know and love. Okay, so everyone's going to want to do that. Bitcoin goes up. That's just another catalyst once again for Bitcoin's move up. I think we could easily see Bitcoin in the near future test both these trend lines. So you can see here, since these March lows, I'll zoom out a little bit. So this is the March low right here. This is a very, very conservative long-term trend line. So not even using absolute highs here, like this could be angled like that if you're looking at my cursor. So this could be like that. This is a very conservative trend line combined with this more medium, so the longer term trend line and then medium term trend line. And these both coincide by Christmas. Let's hope we see a green Christmas. Been saying that a lot. That just happened to play out like that, but I think it makes perfect sense, you guys. Even if we don't get stimulus by Christmas, let's hold some Bitcoin, and that's a good Christmas gift. I'll take that any day. If we do see it test this trend line by Christmas and like come perfectly to the axis, to this apex where both of these lines of resistance on this uptrend intersect, that would take us to like a 19.7K, 20K Bitcoin on Christmas Day. So let's hope we see a green Christmas once again. In the short term, I think it's very likely, with all the fundamental and technical momentum behind Bitcoin, for it to come up, test one of these trend lines. Who knows if it's this one or this one? I think it's going to happen. Whichever one it does choose to successfully test, though, is the one I will use for this move up. Although they both do coincide once again on Christmas on this day, but going forward, like going into New Year's and whatnot, that will be the line I use, whichever one to test. So it would test this more medium term one. That would bring us to about 17,300 by November 11th. Again, you guys, I'm just throwing things out here, but this is just kind of what my gut's telling me. I'm not guaranteeing you guys that this is right by any means. Okay, so keep that in mind. If it tests this one, say by November 11th, that would take us up another like few $100, like 17.9 or something. But again, there's so much fundamental momentum behind Bitcoin right now, technical momentum, money flooding out of other markets, and hopefully into this market. Again, money wants to make money. Money will always want to make money, and money will always want to be where the money is. Okay, so you guys get what I'm saying there, but just super bullish on Bitcoin right now. I think the future is bright. Again, once we do test these, I want to make it very clear that I'm sure you assume by this arrow down, once we do test one of these trend lines, one of these lines of resistance, I do expect a pretty significant correction, and it might even come back down to these $13,000 levels, okay? Because a lot of times after you see a significant run up, the correction will come down to the previous high that it was at, that it spent some time at prior to that like 90 degree move up, okay? So if that happens, I mean, I'll just keep you posted on that. Again, subscribe to the portfolio newsletter, no shame there, because that's what it's all about. That's the game of trading. But I do also want to say that I have a significant part of my portfolio that I'm not touching. Even though I do think it's going to correct, I'm not going to trade it, just because I preach strong hands, and I truly do believe it. Like, trying to trade this market can get dangerous, and who knows, it could just blast through this. It could come up to test this, bounce down a little bit, and fake everyone out and just go to the moon. So that's the beauty of Bitcoin as a $200 billion asset. If money starts flowing out of the bigger markets, keep in mind, you guys, $200 billion is 1/10 the size of Apple. So Apple's a company, Bitcoin is an asset of its own, and people are realizing that. People are realizing the values that it has, and it just has so much freaking potential. You guys know that my ultimate target by the end of over the next couple of years is to consume gold's market cap and reach $500,000. I will make a video talking about that, explaining that a little more, probably next week sometime, if Bitcoin does good, of course. But yeah, you guys know that I'm super bullish on Bitcoin. Please let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on Bitcoin. If you're as bullish on Bitcoin as I am, if you're watching up until this point, if you've watched up until now, I have to assume so. But let me know what stocks you're bullish on right now in regard to Bitcoin, like Bitcoin related stocks. You guys know we talk about Riot, Mara, MicroStrategy actually did pretty well today. Riot and Mara got obliterated. I will talk about those more in the future, but I just want to say there, you guys, keep your hands strong with those stocks, Riot and Mara specifically. The smart money is manipulating the small money, and don't be small money, okay? Even if you have a small position, it's a mind thing, it's a mentality thing. Don't be small money. Keep your hands strong, because there's any investors with even moderate sums of capital can manipulate those stocks, and they're preying on the weaker hands. Okay, so don't be weak hands. I encourage you guys to be strong hands and keep your hands strong, because if you keep your hands strong and you don't fold to these players who understand the market a little more, then they lose and you win. Okay, so keep your hands strong and just keep the end game in mind, eyes on the prize again, like I said in the newsletter. Okay, we'll call it there, you guys. Again, drop a comment, talk to me about whatever you want. If you're just stoked to see Bitcoin doing well, or any questions, literally whatever you guys want to talk about. Always love talking shop with you guys. Always love learning from you guys. And until next time, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.